I smelled him before I saw him, pine, leather, and something darker, like blood that hadn't quite washed away. But it was the silence that made my skin crawl. Every wolf in the Alpha's hall had gone still, their eyes fixed on the broken man in the corner whose wolf had been dead for 3 years. Until I crossed the threshold. Until his eyes snapped open, glowing gold, and a roar tore from his throat that made the chandeliers shake. Mate. The sound punched through my chest like a fist. I stumbled backward, my hand flying to the doorframe for support. Around me, wolves erupted into chaos, shouting, scrambling, some dropping to their knees as if they'd witnessed a resurrection. Maybe they had. Impossible, someone whispered. His wolf. It's been 3 years. But I couldn't hear them. Not really. Because all I could see was him. Alpha Cain Ashford sat slouched in a chair at the far end of the hall, a man who looked like he'd been carved from stone and left to weather in the rain. Dark hair fell across a face that might have been handsome once, before grief had hollowed it out. His clothes were wrinkled, his jaw unshaven. Everything about him screamed of someone who'd stopped caring whether he lived or died. Except his eyes. Those burned gold and wild, locked onto me with an intensity that made my wolf whimper and press close to my skin. Mate, she whispered. Ours. No. God, no. This couldn't be happening. Everyone out. His voice was gravel and smoke, rusty from disuse. No one moved. Out. The command cracked through the air like a whip, and this time, the pack scattered. Wolves tripped over themselves rushing for the exits, shooting me looks that ranged from pity to horror. The beta, a tall man with worried eyes, hesitated at the door. Alpha, maybe we should. Marcus. Leave. The beta's jaw tightened, but he obeyed, pulling the heavy doors shut behind him. The boom echoed through the now empty hall like a death knell. I was alone with him. Cain rose from his chair in one fluid movement, and I realized he was bigger than I'd thought. Broader. The kind of man who could break you in half without trying. He took a step toward me, then stopped, his hands curling into fists at his sides. What's your name? The question came out rough, almost angry. Sarah. My voice didn't shake. Small miracle. Sarah Thorne. Something flickered across his face. You're from the Nightshade Pack. It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. What's left of it? Everyone knew what had happened to Nightshade. Rogues had torn through our territory like wildfire 2 months ago, killing our alpha, scattering our pack. Those of us who survived had nowhere to go. Silvercrest had offered sanctuary. I should have known there'd be a price. How old are you? Cain demanded. 23. Have you been claimed? Marked? Heat crept up my neck. No. His eyes flashed brighter, and a low growl rumbled from his chest, a sound that went straight through me, making my knees weak and my wolf keen with want. He took another step forward. Then another. Prowling closer like a predator who'd just remembered how to hunt. 3 years, he said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. 3 years my wolf has been silent. Dead. I've been half a man, barely existing, waiting for death to take mercy on me. He stopped an arm's length away, so close I could feel the heat rolling off him. And then you walk through my door, and he comes roaring back like he never left. I forced myself to meet his eyes. I didn't ask for this. Neither did I. His hand shot out, catching my wrist, not hard, but firm enough that I gasped. His thumb pressed against my pulse point, feeling it race. But here we are. The mate bond snapped into place like a rubber band pulled too tight, and I felt everything. His rage. His confusion. The feral, desperate need clawing beneath his skin. And underneath it all, an ocean of grief so deep it threatened to drown us both. My wolf surged forward, wanting to comfort, to soothe, to claim. I yanked my hand back, breaking contact. Don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. Whatever you're thinking, don't. His expression darkened. You feel it. The bond. Yes. Then you know we don't have a choice. There's always a choice. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to hold steady. You don't want this. You don't want me. What I want stopped mattering 3 years ago. He turned away, running a hand through his hair. When he looked back, something had shifted in his face. Hardened. I need to know everything about you. Your family. Your bloodline. Everything. My stomach dropped. This was it. The moment I'd been dreading since Marcus had escorted me to the Alpha's hall. There's something you should know, I said quietly. About my family. I'm listening. The words stuck in my throat like broken glass. My brother, his name was Damien Thorn. I watched the recognition hit him like a bullet. Kane went completely still. The kind of stillness that comes right before an explosion. Damien Thorn, he repeated, his voice empty. Hollow. The rogue who murdered my mate. He wasn't a rogue. The defense came automatically, even though I knew it was useless. Not until. He slit her throat and left her body in the woods like garbage. Kane's eyes had gone cold now, the gold fading to something flat and dead. Your brother destroyed everything I had. Everything I was. I know. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I wouldn't let them fall. I know what he did. And I know sorry doesn't mean anything, but... Get out. I blinked. What? Get out. He turned his back on me, his shoulders rigid. You have until tomorrow morning to leave Silvercrest territory. If you're still here by dawn, I'll have you dragged to the border myself. The bond screamed in protest, a physical pain that made me gasp. My wolf howled, devastated. You can't, I whispered. The mate bond is a curse I never asked for. His voice was ice. You're the sister of the man who destroyed my life. Did you really think I'd welcome you with open arms? I thought, my voice broke. I thought maybe. You thought wrong. He finally looked at me again, and the hatred in his eyes was worse than any blow. I reject you, Sarah Thorne. I reject this bond, this fate, all of it. You are nothing to me. The words hit like a physical blow. The bond fractured, splintering into 1,000 pieces of agony that dropped me to my knees. Alpha, I choked out. That's all. He walked toward the side door, each step taking him further away even as the bond screamed for him to stay. Marcus will escort you off the territory. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. The door slammed shut behind him. I knelt there on the cold marble floor, feeling like I'd been torn in half. My wolf whimpered, wounded and confused. The mate bond was still there, rejection didn't break it completely, just damaged it, leaving raw edges that bled with every breath. The main doors opened, and Marcus appeared, his expression carefully neutral. Miss Thorne, he said gently. I'll show you to your quarters. You'll leave at first light. I let him help me to my feet, even though everything in me wanted to run after Kane, to make him listen, to make him understand. But what was there to understand? My brother had killed his mate. Had caused his wolf to die. Had destroyed everything Kane loved. And now fate had decided I should be his second chance. Some jokes were just too cruel. I didn't sleep that night. How could I, when every cell in my body was screaming to go to him? The bond pulled like a fishhook lodged in my chest, tugging me toward wherever Kane was in this massive estate. But I stayed in my room, packing what little I'd brought with me, trying to figure out where I'd go. Nightshade was gone. I had no family left. No pack. No home. Nowhere to run except into the wilderness, alone. Maybe that was what I deserved. The knock came just before dawn, soft, hesitant. Miss Thorne? It was Marcus. It's time. I shouldered my bag and opened the door, ready to face exile with whatever dignity I had left. But Marcus wasn't alone. Behind him stood Cain, looking like he'd been through hell. His eyes were bloodshot, his hands shaking. He looked at me with something between fury and desperation. "I can't," he said hoarsely. "I can't let you go. My wolf, he won't let me. He's tearing me apart from the inside." Hope flared in my chest before I could crush it. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you're not leaving." His jaw clenched. "But don't think that means I've forgiven anything. You're staying because I don't have a choice. Because my wolf will kill me if you leave. Not because I want you here." Each word was a knife, but I nodded. "I understand." "Do you?" He stepped closer, and I could see the war raging behind his eyes. "Because I need you to understand something, Sarah Thorne. I will never love you. I will never claim you as my mate. You will stay here, under my protection, but you will never have me." "Then what will I have?" His smile was bitter. "A roof over your head. Food in your belly. And every day, you'll see in my eyes exactly what your brother took from me." He turned and walked away, leaving me standing there with Marcus and a future full of beautiful agony. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The room they gave me was beautiful and cold as a tomb. It sat in the east wing of the pack house, far enough from the Alpha's quarters to be a statement but close enough that the bond wouldn't drive us both insane. Someone had tried to make it welcoming, fresh flowers on the dresser, clean linens on the bed, a view of the forest that stretched for miles. But the lock on the outside of the door told me everything I needed to know about my new status. Prisoner. Outcast. The she-wolf who'd bewitched their broken Alpha back to life. I'd heard the whispers as Marcus had escorted me through the halls. Felt the eyes tracking my every move, burning with resentment and fear. She's cursed him. He was finally at peace, and now. It's not natural. His wolf was dead. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was a curse. I dropped my bag on the bed and moved to the window, watching the sun climb over the trees. Somewhere in this massive house, Cain was probably trying to convince himself he'd made the right choice. That keeping me here was better than letting me go. The bond pulsed between us like a second heartbeat, painful and persistent. My wolf whimpered, wanting nothing more than to track him down, to see him, to be near him. "Stop it," I whispered. "He doesn't want us. He made that clear." But wolves don't understand rejection. They only understand the pull of fate, the certainty of a mate bond. To my wolf, Cain was everything. To Cain, I was a living reminder of his worst nightmare. A knock at the door made me turn. "It's open," I called, though I knew they had a key. A young woman entered, carrying a tray of food. She was pretty, with honey-colored hair and eyes that wouldn't quite meet mine. Her hands trembled slightly as she set the tray on the small table. "Breakfast," she said quietly. "Luna, she flushed. "Miss Thorne." "Just Sarah." I tried for a smile. "What's your name?" "Riley." She still wouldn't look at me. "I'm supposed to bring you meals until the Alpha decides what to do with you." "Lucky you." She finally met my eyes, and I saw not hatred there, but sadness. "I'm sorry. About all of this. It's not fair. Life rarely is." Riley hesitated at the door. "For what it's worth, some of us think you're getting a raw deal. You didn't choose the mate bond any more than he did. Tell that to the rest of the pack." "I would, but..." She glanced down the hallway, lowering her voice. "They're scared. Alpha Cain has been dying for 3 years, slowly wasting away. We've all been waiting for the day he just stopped fighting. And now his wolf is back, stronger than ever, and they don't know what it means. It means he's alive again. Maybe. Riley's expression turned troubled. Or maybe it means the pain will be even worse when it finally kills him. She left before I could ask what she meant. I picked at the breakfast, eggs, toast, fresh fruit, but everything tasted like ash. The bond made it hard to eat, hard to think about anything except the fact that Cain was somewhere in this house, hating me and needing me in equal measure. This was going to be hell. 3 years ago. The forest had been beautiful that night, Elena thought, watching moonlight filter through the leaves. She'd slipped away from the pack celebration, needing a moment of quiet, of peace. Being Luna was exhausting sometimes, always performing, always perfect, always strong. She heard the footstep behind her too late. Hello, Elena. She spun, her wolf rising to the surface, ready to defend. But the figure that emerged from the shadows made her freeze. You, she breathed. What are you doing here? What I should have done years ago. The rogue's eyes gleamed in the darkness. Ending this. Damien, please. The blade flashed silver in the moonlight. Her scream was cut short. Present day. I woke to shouting. For a moment, I couldn't place where I was. The room was dark, unfamiliar. Then the bond flared hot and urgent in my chest, and I remembered everything. More shouting from downstairs, and underneath it, something that made my wolf's hackles rise. Rogues. I was at the door before I consciously decided to move, yanking it open to find chaos in the hallway. Wolves ran past, some in human form, others already shifting. The acrid smell of fear and adrenaline filled the air. What's happening? I grabbed a passing guard. Rogues at the eastern border, he snapped, shaking me off. Stay in your room. Like hell. I followed the stream of warriors down the stairs and out into the night. The pack house had erupted into organized chaos, warriors gathering weapons, the beta shouting orders, injured wolves being carried to the infirmary. And there, in the center of it all, was Cain. He'd shifted into something between man and wolf, his body larger, more powerful than any werewolf I'd ever seen. His eyes blazed pure gold as he roared commands, directing his warriors with the authority of an alpha who'd finally remembered his strength. He was magnificent. He was terrifying. He was mine, the bond whispered, and I shoved the thought away. Sarah. Marcus appeared at my elbow, his expression grim. You need to get back inside. I can help. You can get in the way. This isn't your fight. Like hell it's not. I met his eyes, letting my wolf rise to the surface just enough that he could see I meant business. I'm part of this pack now, whether anyone likes it or not. And I can sense rogues before they attack. His eyes narrowed. What? It's a gift. Or a curse, depending on how you look at it. I'd never told anyone about this ability, the strange sixth sense that let me feel rogue wolves like a dark pressure against my mind. I can feel them coming. Use me or don't, but I'm not hiding in my room while people die. Marcus studied me for a long moment, then cursed under his breath. Fine. But you stay close to me. If the Alpha asks, this was my call. We ran toward the eastern border, Marcus and I flanked by a unit of warriors. The forest was dark, lit only by the moon and the occasional flash of eyes. I could feel them out there, rogues circling like sharks, looking for weakness. There, I said, pointing left. 6 of them, moving fast. How can you trust me? Marcus howled, and the warriors shifted direction. We hit the rogues head-on, and the forest erupted into violence. I'd fought before, every wolf learns to defend themselves. But this was different. These rogues were organized, strategic. They fought like they'd been trained. A massive gray wolf lunged for my throat. I shifted midair, my smaller brown wolf meeting him with teeth and claws. We went down in a tangle of fur and blood, rolling across the forest floor. He was bigger, stronger, but I was faster. I felt more than saw when he was joined by 2 others. This was it. This was how I died. Then a roar split the air, and Cain was there. He moved like death itself, tearing through the rogues with a savagery that made my blood run cold. His wolf was twice the size of any normal alpha, his fur black as midnight, his eyes blazing with fury. He killed the first rogue with a single bite to the throat. The second tried to run. Cain caught him before he made it 3 feet. The third, the one who'd attacked me, backed away, whimpering. Cain stalked toward him, every line of his body promising violence. But before he could strike, I felt it. Behind us. I shouted. More coming. Cain's head whipped around, his ears pricked. For a moment, his eyes met mine, and something passed between us: recognition, trust, need. Then we were surrounded. 10 rogues burst from the trees, and I realized with sinking certainty that this had been a trap. They'd sacrificed the first group to draw us out, to separate us from the main pack force. Marcus howled for backup, but we were too far out. It would be minutes before help arrived. We had seconds. Together, I heard myself say, moving to stand beside Cain. We fight together. His wolf rumbled, a sound that might have been agreement or protest. But when the rogues attacked, he stayed by my side. We moved like we'd been fighting together for years. When I ducked, he struck. When he drove forward, I protected his flank. The bond between us sang, feeding us information, his intentions, my instincts, our combined strength. It was beautiful and terrible and right in a way that made my heart ache. One by one, the rogues fell. When the last one fled into the darkness, Cain and I stood in a clearing littered with bodies, both of us panting, covered in blood. Around us, the forest had gone quiet. He shifted back to human form, and I followed suit, both of us naked and exhausted. How did you know? His voice was rough. How did you sense them? I don't know. I've always been able to. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly aware of how close we were standing. It got stronger after Nightshade fell. Like my wolf was trying to protect me from ever being surprised again. Cain stared at me, and for the first time since we'd met, there was something other than hatred in his eyes. You saved my warriors tonight. We saved them. Together. Don't. He stepped back, and I felt the loss like a physical blow. Don't make this into something it's not. I'm not making it into anything. I'm just stating facts. The fact is you're here because my wolf won't let you leave. That's all. Keep telling yourself that. His hand shot out, catching my throat, not choking, just holding, his thumb pressed against my racing pulse. You think you know me? You think this bond means you understand what I've been through? No. I held his gaze. But I think you're so busy hating me that you can't see I'm not your enemy. Your brother is dead. The words came out flat. He died 6 months after Elena. Killed by the same rogues who destroyed Nightshade. So if you're waiting for someone to punish, you're too late. Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Maybe regret. I didn't know. There's a lot you don't know about me. We stood there, his hands still on my throat, both of us breathing hard. The bond pulled tight between us, demanding more, demanding everything. I saw the moment he felt it too, the desire that had nothing to do with choice and everything to do with fate. His eyes dropped to my mouth. Don't, I whispered, even as my body swayed toward his. I won't. But he didn't move away either. We were a breath apart, his hand tightening on my throat, my hands coming up to rest on his chest. I could feel his heart racing, matching mine beat for beat. This is a mistake, he said. I know. His mouth lowered to mine. And then he was shoving me away so hard I stumbled. No. He backed up, his expression wild. No. I won't do this. I won't betray her memory with you. The rejection hit like a slap. Cain. Get back to the pack house. Now. He shifted and ran, leaving me standing naked and alone in a forest full of corpses. I made it back to my room somehow, my body moving on autopilot while my mind reeled. Riley had left clean clothes on my bed, bless her. I showered, scrubbing away the blood and dirt, but I couldn't wash away the memory of Kane's hand on my throat, his mouth almost touching mine. The almost was worse than the rejection. I just pulled on fresh clothes when Marcus appeared in my doorway, his expression troubled. We need to talk. About what? About you. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. About your brother. About why you're really here. My stomach dropped. I told you why I'm here. Nightshade fell. I had nowhere else to go. That's the story. But I've been digging, Sarah. And things aren't adding up. What things? Like why the rogues who destroyed Nightshade used the same tactics as the ones who killed Elena. His eyes were hard. Like why your brother was with Elena the night she died. He found her body. That's not the same as. Is it? Marcus pulled out a file, tossing it on the bed. Because according to the investigation, Damien Thorne was seen leaving the Alpha's territory 30 minutes before Elena's body was discovered. His scent was all over the crime scene. And when Kane's trackers found him, he ran. Because he was scared. He knew how it looked. Or because he was guilty. Marcus crossed his arms. I'm not saying you're involved. But I need to know what you know about that night. What your brother told you. He told me he didn't do it. My voice broke. He swore to me, with his dying breath, that he didn't kill her. That someone was setting him up. Did he say who? No. He died before he could. Marcus studied me for a long moment. I want to believe you. But my job is to protect this pack, which means I can't take anything on faith. Especially not when it comes to the Alpha's mate. I'm not his mate. He made that very clear. The bond says otherwise. Marcus moved to the door. Watch yourself, Sarah. There are people in this pack who'd be happy to see you gone. And if I find any evidence that you're a threat, mate bond or not, I'll deal with you myself. He left, and I sank onto the bed, my hands shaking. What was I doing here? I should have left when I had the chance, should have run as far and fast as I could. But the bond wouldn't let me. And neither would the truth. Because Damien had been innocent. I knew it in my bones, the same way I could sense rogues before they attacked. Someone had framed him. Someone had killed Elena and made sure my brother took the fall. And if I left now, I'd never find out who. I was still sitting there, lost in thought, when my door burst open. Kane stood in the doorway, his eyes wild, his hair disheveled. He looked like he'd been fighting with himself and losing. You need to know something, he said roughly. What? He pulled a small amber bottle from his pocket, the pills inside rattling. Wolfsbane. Mixed with silver dust and moonflower extract. I stared at the bottle, not understanding. What is that? A suppressant. The kind that keeps your wolf dormant. Silent. His laugh was bitter. I'd been taking it for 3 years. Every day, trying to kill what was left of my wolf, trying to finally die in peace. Horror washed over me. Kane. And then you showed up. He threw the bottle across the room, where it shattered against the wall. You walked through my door, and my wolf came roaring back to life, and now I can't take the suppressant anymore because he's too strong. Because you made him too strong. You wanted your wolf dead? The words came out as a whisper. I wanted the pain dead. The memories. The guilt. He moved closer, and I could see tears tracking down his face. Elena was my everything. My mate, my Luna, my soul. And I failed her. I should have protected her. Should have known something was wrong. Should have been there. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? His voice broke. I was her mate. I should have felt it when she was in danger. Should have sensed when she was dying. But I didn't. I was at a pack celebration, drinking and laughing while my mate bled out in the forest. You can't blame yourself for. I can. I do. He looked at me with eyes full of so much pain it made my chest ache. And now you're here, and my wolf wants you, and I can feel myself starting to heal, and I hate it. I hate that I'm forgetting her. I hate that the bond is making me want you. I hate that I can't make myself send you away. I stood, closing the distance between us. Then hate me. But stop trying to kill yourself. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. I put my hand over his heart, feeling it race beneath my palm. You're alive, Kane. Your wolf is alive. And maybe that's not a curse. Maybe it's a chance. A chance for what? To find out who really killed Elena. I held his gaze. Because my brother didn't do it. And someone went to a lot of trouble to make everyone think he did. Something shifted in his expression. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe we're both victims of the same crime. And maybe, if we stop fighting each other, we can figure out what really happened that night. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, slowly, he covered my hand with his. If you're lying to me. I'm not. If this is some kind of trick. It's not. He pulled my hand away but didn't let go. 3 years. I've spent 3 years wanting to die. And now you're giving me a reason to live. How am I supposed to forgive you for that? You're not. I squeezed his hand. But maybe, eventually, you can forgive yourself. He left without another word, but he took the shattered bottle with him. And as I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I felt the bond pulse between us, still broken, still painful, but maybe, just maybe, starting to heal. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The summons came at dawn. Riley delivered it, her face pale and frightened. The council has called an emergency session. You're to appear before them immediately. My stomach dropped. What's this about? I don't know. But Sarah, she caught my hand, her grip tight. Be careful. Something's wrong. I heard Marcus in the Alpha's office last night, and he sounded angry. I dressed quickly, my hands steady even though my heart was racing. Whatever was coming, I'd face it head on. I'd survived the destruction of my pack, my brother's death, and Kane's rejection. I could survive this too. The council chamber was full when I arrived, every high-ranking member of the Silvercrest pack seated around the massive oak table. Warriors lined the walls, their expressions hard. At the head of the table sat Kane, his face unreadable, his eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Marcus stood beside him, holding a file. Sarah Thorne, Marcus began, his voice formal. Or should I say, Sarah Blackwood? The room went silent. My wolf whimpered, sensing the trap snapping shut around us. Blackwood, an older council member repeated, rising from his seat. As in Dominic Blackwood? The same. Marcus opened the file, pulling out documents. I've been investigating Miss Thorne's background since her arrival. Birth certificate, family records, witness statements from survivors of the Nightshade Pack. He looked directly at me. You told us your brother's name was Damien Thorne. You lied. I used my mother's maiden name, I said quietly. After what happened, I thought it would be safer. Safer? Marcus's voice rose. You came here under false pretenses, hiding your true identity. Your brother Dominic Blackwood didn't just find Elena's body, he led the rogue attack that killed her. He was the architect of her murder. That's not true. We have witnesses. Marcus slammed the file on the table. Survivors from that night who saw him commanding the rogues. Who watched him cut down our warriors. Who swear on their lives that he was the one who dragged Elena into those woods. They're wrong. I stepped forward, and immediately 3 warriors moved to block me. Dominic didn't kill anyone. He was trying to stop it. Convenient story, a female council member sneered. Now that your brother is conveniently dead and can't defend himself. She's a spy, another said. Sent here to infiltrate the pack, to finish what her brother started. That's insane. Is it? Marcus circled the table toward me. You show up just as rogues start attacking our borders. You claim to have this mysterious ability to sense them, or maybe you're coordinating with them. And conveniently, the moment you arrive, our alpha's wolf, who's been dormant for 3 years, suddenly comes roaring back to life, binding him to you through a mate bond he can't escape. You think I planned that? My voice cracked. You think I somehow forced the mate bond? I think you're dangerous. And I think you need to be dealt with. Marcus. Kane's voice cut through the room like a blade. Enough. Enough? Marcus turned to face him. Alpha, she's the sister of the man who murdered your mate. She came here under false pretenses. She's a threat to this pack. I said enough. Kane rose, his eyes flashing gold. I'll handle this. Will you? Marcus's expression was pained. Because from where I'm standing, you can barely look at her without your wolf taking control. How are you supposed to make a rational decision when you're bound to her? The room erupted into shouts. Council members arguing, warriors gripping their weapons, the air thick with tension and bloodlust. And through it all, Kane stood silent, his hands clenched on the table, his whole body rigid with the effort of maintaining control. I could feel it through the bond, the war raging inside him. His wolf clawing to get out, to protect, to claim. And the man fighting it with everything he had, torn between justice for his dead mate and the feral need to keep me safe. It was tearing him apart. The law is clear, the eldest council member said, his voice heavy. The family of a wolf who murders an alpha's mate is subject to blood justice. Life for life. You want to execute me for my brother's crimes? I looked around the room, meeting their eyes. Fine. But first, you're going to hear the truth. We don't need to hear your lies. Dominic didn't lead that attack. The words burst out of me. He was there, yes. But he was trying to stop it. Because he'd discovered that someone inside Silvercrest Pack had orchestrated the whole thing. The room went dead silent. That's a serious accusation, Marcus said coldly. It's the truth. I pulled the chain from around my neck, the one I'd worn since Nightshade fell. Hanging from it was a small silver drive. This is what Dominic died protecting. Information he gathered in the weeks before Elena's murder. Names, dates, financial records. Proof that someone in your pack paid the rogues to attack that night. Kane moved so fast I didn't see him coming. One moment he was across the room, the next his hand was around my throat, slamming me against the wall. You dare, his voice was barely human. You dare stand here and accuse my pack of murdering Elena? I'm not accusing your pack. I met his eyes, even though his grip was crushing my windpipe. I'm telling you there's a traitor. Someone who wanted Elena dead and made sure my brother took the blame. Why? The word came out as a growl. Why would anyone want her dead? I don't know. That's what I came here to find out. His hand tightened, and black spots danced across my vision. Through the bond, I felt his rage, his anguish, his desperate need to hurt someone, anyone, for the pain he'd endured. Alpha. Marcus's voice cut through the haze. If she has evidence, we need to see it. Kane held me for another heartbeat, then released me. I collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. Give it to me, Kane ordered. With shaking hands, I unclasped the chain and held out the drive. It's encrypted. Dominic was the only one who knew the password. Then it's useless. Maybe. But there are other records. Paper trails. Dominic told me where to look before he died. I pushed myself to my feet. Give me a chance to prove it. If I can't find evidence within a week, I'll submit to your blood justice willingly. No. The word was flat, final. You're lying. Your brother was a murderer, and you're trying to protect his memory by throwing blame on innocent wolves. Then why did someone try to kill him before he could tell his side of the story? I shot back. Why did the rogues who attacked Nightshade target my family specifically? Why did they make sure Dominic died before anyone could question him properly? Because he was their leader. He was a threat. My voice rose. A threat to whoever really killed Elena. And now I'm a threat too. Which is why someone's going to try to kill me before I can prove the truth. Kane stared at me, his expression unreadable. Then he turned to the council. Take her to the holding cells, he said. We'll reconvene tomorrow to decide her fate. Alpha, I started. You want a chance to prove your brother's innocence? Fine. You have until tomorrow at dawn. His eyes burned into mine. But if you can't produce evidence, real evidence, not conspiracy theories, I'll carry out the blood justice myself. The warriors seized my arms, dragging me from the chamber. As they hauled me through the halls, I caught one last glimpse of Kane standing at the head of the table, his shoulders bowed, his hands braced against the wood like a man trying to hold himself together. Through the bond, I felt his wolf howling in rage. The holding cells were deep beneath the pack house, carved from stone and reinforced with silver-lined bars. They threw me into one and locked the door, the sound echoing through the empty corridor. I was alone down here. No guards, no witnesses. Just me in the darkness and the certainty that I was running out of time. I sank onto the narrow cot, my mind racing. The drive around my neck was useless without the password. And even if I could crack it, who would believe the evidence? Marcus was convinced I was guilty. The council wanted blood. And Kane. Kane was being torn apart by his own wolf, forced to choose between honoring his dead mate's memory and protecting the bond fate had given him. I'm sorry, I thought, not sure if I was apologizing to Elena, to Dominic, or to Kane himself. I'm so sorry for all of this. The sound of footsteps jolted me upright. Multiple sets, moving fast through the corridor. My wolf surged to attention, every instinct screaming danger. The footsteps stopped outside my cell. I heard the click of a lock, saw the door swing open. 3 figures entered, all wearing dark clothes and masks. Moonlight from the high window glinted off the silver daggers in their hands. Nothing personal, one of them said. But you're a loose end that needs tying up. They attacked as one. I shifted midair, my wolf form barely fitting in the small cell. Teeth and claws flashed as I fought, but there were 3 of them and one of me, and they had silver weapons that burned like acid where they cut. One blade sliced across my shoulder. Another caught my flank. I was going to die here, in this cell, and no one would ever know the truth. Then the world exploded with golden light. Kane burst through the door, not as a man, but as his wolf. The massive black beast filled the corridor, his eyes blazing with fury that transcended human thought. He was magnificent. The assassins turned, realizing too late what they faced. Kane's wolf moved like lightning, like death given form. The first assassin died before he could scream, his throat torn out in one savage bite. The second tried to run. He made it 3 steps. The third raised his silver dagger, aiming for Kane's heart. I threw myself between them, taking the blade in my side. Pain exploded through my body, white-hot and consuming. I felt the silver burning through me, felt my wolf whimpering in agony. Then Kane's howl shook the very foundations of the pack house. What happened next, I saw through a haze of pain. Kane's wolf obliterating the last assassin with a savagery that painted the walls red. Then shifting back to human form, his hands reaching for me, his voice broken and desperate. No. No, 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 Sarah, stay with me. I'm okay, I slurred. Just silver. Burns. You jumped in front of a blade for me. His hands pressed against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. You stupid, brave, impossible woman. Couldn't let them kill you. Speaking hurt. Everything hurt. Your wolf, he protected me. Because he knows. Kane's voice cracked. He knows you're telling the truth. He's known since the moment he saw you. It's only me, only the man, who's been too blind and broken to see it. He gathered me into his arms, and I felt his tears hit my face. Marcus, he roared. Marcus. Footsteps thundered down the corridor. Marcus appeared, took one look at the carnage, and went pale. Get the healer. Now. Kane's voice was pure alpha command. And find out who sent these assassins. Alpha, I don't understand. Look at their wrists. Marcus crouched beside one of the bodies, pushing back the sleeve. His expression went from confused to horrified. That's impossible. That mark. I know what it is. Kane's arms tightened around me. Which means we have a much bigger problem than I thought. My vision was starting to blur, the silver poisoning spreading through my system. But I forced myself to focus on the mark Marcus had found, a small tattoo on the inside of the assassin's wrist. A crescent moon bisected by a sword. What is it? I managed to ask. Kane looked down at me, and in his eyes I saw grief and fury and a terrible understanding. It's the mark of Elena's personal guard, he said quietly. The wolves she trusted most. The ones who were supposed to protect her with their lives. The implications hit me like a physical blow. Someone in her own guard. Killed her. Yes. His jaw clenched. And framed your brother to cover their tracks. But why? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. He stood, cradling me against his chest. Marcus, lock down the pack house. No one leaves, no one enters. And get me a list of every wolf who served in Elena's personal guard 3 years ago. You think one of them is the traitor? I think we're about to find out. As Kane carried me toward the infirmary, I felt his wolf settling inside him, still present, still powerful, but no longer fighting for control. Man and beast had finally aligned, united by a single purpose. Finding the truth. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Marcus examining the bodies, his expression grim. And there, reflected in the pool of blood on the floor, was another mark I'd missed. Not a tattoo this time, but something carved into the stone wall behind where the assassins had been standing. A message, written in blood. She knows too much. I woke to voices arguing. Can't just accuse the entire guard. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm investigating. Kane's voice, hard as iron. Someone in this pack betrayed us. Betrayed her. And they just tried to kill my mate to cover it up. You're calling her your mate now? My wolf has been calling her that since the moment she walked through our door. It's time I started listening. Silence. Then, what changed? Everything. A pause. She took a silver blade from me, Marcus. Stepped between me and a weapon that could have killed me, without hesitation. And when I asked her why, do you know what she said? What? That she couldn't let them kill me. Not, wouldn't. Couldn't. His voice softened. Elena used to say the same thing. That the mate bond wasn't a choice, it was a certainty. And I finally understand what she meant. I opened my eyes to find myself in the infirmary, bandaged and aching but alive. Kane sat beside my bed, his hand wrapped around mine. Marcus stood near the door, his expression troubled. You're awake, Kane said, relief flooding his features. Unfortunately. I tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. How long was I out? 4 hours. The silver delayed your healing, but you're going to be fine. He helped me settle back against the pillows. I need to ask you something. The drive your brother gave you, what else did he tell you before he died? I closed my eyes, forcing myself back to that terrible night. Dominic, bleeding out in my arms, his voice barely a whisper. He said Elena wasn't the target. She was collateral damage. What? The rogues were after something else that night. Something in the Alpha's vault. Elena interrupted them, so they killed her and made it look like a random attack. I met Kane's eyes. Dominic discovered the plan too late to stop it. He tried to save her, but he arrived just as she died. And when your warriors found him covered in her blood, they assumed he was guilty. Kane's voice was hollow. We never questioned it. Never looked deeper. Because someone made sure you wouldn't. I squeezed his hand. Someone who's been in your pack this whole time, watching you grieve, watching you slowly die, knowing they were responsible. I'm going to find them, he said quietly. And when I do, we'll find them, I corrected. Together. For the first time since I'd met him, Kane smiled. It was small, broken, but real. Together, he agreed. Marcus cleared his throat. I've compiled the list you requested. 12 wolves served in Elena's personal guard 3 years ago. 10 are still alive. And the other 2? Died in the rogue attack. Marcus hesitated. Alpha, if what Sarah is saying is true, we're looking at someone who's been embedded in our pack for years. Someone we trust. I know. Kane stood, his expression hardening back into the Alpha mask. Which is why we're going to question them all. Starting with. A commotion outside the infirmary cut him off. Shouting, the sound of running feet. Riley burst through the door, her face white with terror. Alpha. It's the vault, someone's broken into the Alpha's vault. Kane went rigid. When? Just now. The alarms just went off. She was shaking. And Alpha, they took the Luna's journals. All of them. The color drained from Kane's face. Elena's journals, he breathed. The ones where she documented everything about pack business, treaties, alliances. And secrets, I finished. She knew something. Something worth killing for. Our eyes met across the infirmary, and in that moment, we both understood. This wasn't over. It was only beginning. And somewhere in the pack house, the person who'd killed Elena and framed my brother was making their next move. The question was, would we figure out who they were before they finished what they'd started 3 years ago? If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The Alpha's vault had been ransacked with surgical precision. I stood beside Kane in the ruined chamber, watching him survey the damage with a face carved from stone. Shelves lay empty, their contents scattered across the floor. Ancient pack treaties, territorial maps, alliance documents, all rifled through and discarded. But the journals were gone. Elena kept meticulous records, Kane said quietly, his voice echoing off the stone walls. Every meeting, every decision, every secret whispered in confidence. She used to joke that her journals knew more about Silvercrest than I did. Did anyone else have access to them? Only Marcus and... He stopped, his jaw tightening. And who? My cousin. Adrian. Kane's hand curled into a fist. He's next in line for Alpha. If I die without an heir, the pack passes to him. I processed that carefully. Where is Adrian now? On patrol. He's been leading the border defenses since the rogue attack started. Kane turned to face me. But he wasn't always the loyal soldier. When Elena and I mated, Adrian made it clear he thought I was making a mistake. That Elena was too soft, too focused on alliances instead of strength. Did he and Elena argue? Constantly. A shadow passed over Kane's face. The week before she died, they had a massive fight in front of the entire council. She accused him of undermining my authority. He called her a manipulative bitch who was weakening the pack. My wolf's ears pricked up. And you didn't find that suspicious after she died? I found everything suspicious. His voice was raw. But grief made me blind. I wanted someone to blame, someone to punish. When your brother's scent was all over the crime scene, it was easier to believe a rogue killed her than to think someone in my own pack could betray us that way. I moved closer, drawn by the pain radiating through the bond. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He looked at me with haunted eyes. I'm the alpha. I'm supposed to protect my pack, my mate. And I failed at both. You didn't fail. You were manipulated. I took his hand, threading my fingers through his. Someone wanted you broken. Wanted you weak. And they used Elena's death to do it. For a moment, he just stared at our joined hands. Then, slowly, he squeezed back. Help me, he said quietly. Help me find who did this. We'll find them, I promised. Together. We started with the guest logs, records of everyone who'd entered the vault in the past month. Marcus had access, of course. So did Adrian. And 3 members of Elena's former personal guard, Sienna, Garrett, and Cole. Sienna was Elena's best friend, Kane explained as we pored over documents in his private office. It was late, well past midnight, but neither of us could sleep. They grew up together, trained together. When Elena became Luna, Sienna was the first wolf she appointed to her guard. Were they close? Inseparable. He paused. Until about 6 months before Elena died. They had some kind of falling out. Elena never told me what it was about, but after that, Sienna requested a transfer to Border Patrol. I made a note. And the others? Garrett and Cole are brothers. They've served Silvercrest for generations. Loyal to a fault. He rubbed his eyes, exhaustion clear in every line of his body. I can't imagine any of them betraying Elena. She trusted them with her life. Sometimes the people we trust most are the ones who hurt us worst. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with double meaning. Kane looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time since we'd started this investigation. You're thinking about your brother. I'm thinking about a lot of things. I set down the papers. Dominic trusted someone in the Rogue Network. Someone who promised to help him expose the conspiracy. Instead, that person led him into a trap and made sure he died before he could talk. Do you know who it was? No. But I have a theory. I pulled up the sleeve of my shirt, revealing a scar on my forearm, a bite mark that had never fully healed. The night nightshade fell, a wolf marked me. Not to claim me, but to identify me somehow. Like they wanted to make sure they could find me again. Kane's eyes went gold. Who? I never saw their face. But I recognized their scent. I met his gaze. It was the same scent that's been all over the rogue attacks on your borders. The one coordinating them. You think the same person who killed Elena destroyed your pack? I think they're tying up loose ends. Dominic knew too much. My pack might have had records, witnesses, evidence. So they eliminated us. My voice cracked. And now they're coming for me because I'm the last person who knows Dominic was innocent. Kane stood, crossing to where I sat. He cupped my face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away tears I hadn't realized I was crying. They won't get you, he said fiercely. I swear it. You can't promise that. I can. I will. His forehead touched mine. I've lost one mate already. I won't lose another. The word, mate, hung between us like a prayer and a curse. Kane. I know. His voice was rough. I know I said I'd never accept this bond. That I'd never forgive you for being Dominic's sister. But my wolf was right. He's been right all along. He pulled back just enough to look into my eyes. You're mine, Sarah. And I'm done fighting it. The bond exploded between us like a supernova. One moment we were standing in his office, and the next he was kissing me with a desperation that stole my breath. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer, and I melted into him like I'd been made for this exact moment. Maybe I had been. Sarah. My name was a prayer on his lips. Tell me to stop. Don't you dare. He growled, and the sound went straight through me. In seconds, he had me on his desk, papers scattering to the floor. His mouth traced fire down my neck, finding the spot where my shoulder met my throat, the perfect place for a mark. If we do this, he breathed against my skin, there's no going back. Good. I pulled his face up to mine. I don't want to go back. What happened next was primal and perfect and completely inevitable. We came together with the force of a storm, all the tension and pain and desperate need of the past weeks finally finding release. When his teeth sank into my neck, marking me as his, I cried out, not from pain, but from the sheer rightness of it. And when I marked him in return, feeling his wolf rise to meet mine, I knew with absolute certainty that this was fate. We were meant to be. No matter what came next. I woke wrapped in Kane's arms, our bodies tangled in his bed sheets, the mark on my neck still tingling. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and for one perfect moment, everything was right with the world. Then I heard the shouting. Kane was up and moving before I could blink, pulling on clothes as he headed for the door. Stay here. Like hell. Sarah. He turned back, his expression conflicted. Please. Let me handle this. The bond between us pulsed, and I felt his worry. His fear. Something was very wrong. I dressed quickly and followed him down to the main hall, where the entire pack seemed to have gathered. Marcus stood at the center, his face grim, holding what looked like a file. Alpha, he said when he saw Kane. We need to talk. Now. Whatever you have to say, you can say it here. I don't think. Now, Marcus. The beta's jaw clenched. Then he opened the file and pulled out a document, holding it up for everyone to see. This is a transfer record from the Nightshade Pack archives, he said loudly. Dated 6 months before Elena's death. It shows a substantial payment, $50,000, from an account registered to Sarah Blackwood to a known rogue network. My blood turned to ice. That's impossible, I said. I never. There's more. Marcus pulled out another document. Bank statements showing regular payments from your account to various rogues over a 2-year period. And this, he held up a photograph. Security footage from the night Elena died, showing a wolf matching your description near the crime scene. I was 15 years old when Elena died. I wasn't even in this territory. The witness statements say otherwise. Marcus's voice was cold. We have 3 wolves who remember seeing a young female matching your description in Silvercrest territory that week. One of them swears you were talking to Dominic the day before the attack. They're lying. I looked around wildly, seeing the suspicion and hatred growing on every face. Someone planted this evidence. Just like you planted evidence against my brother? Adrian stepped forward from the crowd, his expression triumphant. Convenient how you show up with this elaborate story about conspiracies and traitors, seduce our alpha, and now we find proof you've been working with rogues all along. Kane. I turned to him, desperate. You know this isn't real. You know I didn't. But his face had gone blank. Closed off. Marcus, he said quietly. Show me everything. No. The word tore from my throat. Kane, please. You know me. You marked me. We're bonded. Bonds can be faked. Marcus's voice was almost gentle. With the right magic, the right manipulation, a skilled wolf can create a false mate bond to control an alpha. That's not, but even as I said it, I saw the doubt creeping into Kane's eyes. And I realized what this looked like. I'd shown up claiming my brother was innocent. Had conveniently discovered evidence of a conspiracy. Had seduced Kane at the exact moment he was most vulnerable. And now, when pressed, I couldn't prove any of my story. The perfect con. Take her to the holding cells, Kane said, his voice empty. The council will convene at noon to decide her sentence. Kane, please, I reached for him, but warriors grabbed my arms, holding me back. Don't do this. I love you. That's real. The bond is real. Everything I told you is real. He finally looked at me, and what I saw in his eyes broke my heart. I loved Elena, he said quietly. And someone murdered her. If you were part of that, Sarah, if you helped orchestrate her death, used me to cover your tracks, his voice cracked. Then the mate bond was just another weapon. And I was fool enough to fall for it twice. They dragged me from the hall as I screamed his name. The cell was the same one I'd nearly died in days ago. They'd cleaned the blood from the walls, but I could still smell it, death and silver and betrayal. I sank onto the cot, my mind reeling. The evidence was too perfect. Too comprehensive. Someone had spent years building this false trail, creating a narrative where I was the villain. And I had no way to prove otherwise. The drive Dominic had given me was still encrypted. The witnesses who could verify my story were dead. And Kane. Kane believed I'd used him. The mate mark on my neck throbbed, a constant reminder of what I'd had and lost in the span of a single night. This is what they wanted, I thought numbly. They wanted us to bond, to let our guard down. So when they destroyed me, they'd destroy him too. Footsteps in the corridor made me look up. Riley appeared, her face streaked with tears. I'm not supposed to be here. But I had to. She pulled something from her pocket, pressing it through the bars. I found this in Marcus's office. I think you need to see it. It was a photograph, old and faded. It showed a young woman with dark hair and Elena's smile, standing beside a man I didn't recognize. On the back, written in elegant script, to my dearest sister, may we both find what we're looking for. S. Sienna, I breathed. Elena had a sister? A half-sister. Different mothers. Riley's voice dropped to a whisper. She was banished from Silvercrest 10 years ago for practicing dark magic. Elena was the one who turned her in. My mind raced. What kind of dark magic? The kind that requires blood sacrifice. Specifically, Riley's face went white. The broken mate bond of an alpha. It's supposed to grant immortality, unlimited power. But it only works if the bond is destroyed through betrayal and death. Everything clicked into place with horrifying clarity. Oh God, I whispered. Elena isn't dead. What? She staged her own death. Framed my brother. Destroyed my pact to eliminate witnesses. I grabbed the bars. She's been orchestrating everything to break Kane's bond with her, to gain the power from his grief. And now she's doing it again, breaking our bond by making him believe I betrayed him. But that would mean. It means she's coming back to finish what she started. I looked up at Riley. And when she does, she'll kill everyone who knows the truth. We have to tell the Alpha. He won't believe me. Not now. I slumped back against the wall. She's won. In 2 days, I'll be executed. And Kane will be left broken and alone, exactly what she needs to complete the ritual. Riley was crying now. There has to be something. There isn't. I'm sorry. I closed my eyes. Thank you for trying. But some battles can't be won. She left, and I was alone again with my thoughts and the terrible knowledge that I was going to die for a crime I didn't commit. The mate mark pulsed, and through it, I felt Kane's anguish. He was in his office, probably drinking, probably wishing he'd never met me. I'm sorry, I thought, hoping somehow he could feel it. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. The night before my execution, Kane came to my cell. He looked like hell, eyes bloodshot, face haggard, moving like every step caused him pain. The mate bond was killing him, just like it was killing me. Rejecting fate came with a price. I wanted to hate you, he said without preamble. After I saw the evidence, I wanted to believe you were everything Marcus said. A liar. A manipulator. A murderer. But you can't. I stood, moving to the bars that separated us. Because the bond knows the truth, even when we don't. The bond is a leash. His voice was bitter. Something you used to control me. Is that really what you believe? He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled something from his pocket, a small vial filled with silver liquid. Wolfsbane. I started taking these again, he said quietly. After they arrested you. Trying to kill my wolf, to sever the bond. But he won't die. He just gets angrier. Kane's hand trembled as he looked at the vial. He's showing me things, Sarah. Memories I don't remember having. The night Elena died, I was at the pack celebration, drinking. But I don't remember what I drank, or who gave it to me. And when I try to focus on that moment, everything goes fuzzy. My heart started racing. Kane. My wolf is fighting something. Something that was done to him that night. His eyes met mine, and I saw the war raging there. He's been trying to tell me for 3 years. And I've been too broken to listen. What is he showing you? Kane closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were pure gold, his wolf looking out through human eyes. Elena, his wolf's voice rumbled. Gave me. Poison. The world tilted. What? She poisoned me. The wolf's control was fragmentary, words coming in bursts. Made memories. False. Made me forget. Made me weak. So she could, he snarled, fighting for control. So she could take. Everything. Elena poisoned you to kill your wolf? I pressed closer to the bars. Why? Power. The wolf's eyes burned into mine. She wanted. Dark magic. Needed broken. Alpha bond. Staged death. Framed. Your brother. Made Kane. Think she was murdered. But if she's alive, horror washed over me. Where has she been for 3 years? The wolf's expression turned savage. Waiting. Planning. Growing. Strong. And now she's back to finish what she started. Yes. Kane's human consciousness pushed forward again, his voice hoarse. She's been pulling the strings this whole time. The rogue attacks. Your pack's destruction. You showing up here, he laughed bitterly. She wanted us to bond. Wanted me to have something to lose again. So when she destroys you, it breaks me completely. Gives her the power she needs. The execution. My voice shook. If I die tomorrow. The bond shatters. My wolf dies. And Elena wins. His hand reached through the bars, cupping my face. I'm sorry. God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. Should have listened to my wolf from the beginning. It's not your fault. She's been manipulating you for years. That doesn't make it hurt less. His thumb brushed my cheek. I marked you. Claimed you. And then I threw you away like you meant nothing. You were trying to protect your pack. I was being a coward. He pressed his forehead against the bars. I was so desperate not to feel again, not to risk loving someone and losing them, that I pushed away the one person fate gave me to heal. The mate bond flared between us, painful and beautiful. There's still time, I said. If we can prove Elena's alive. How? She's had 3 years to cover her tracks. Kane's expression turned bleak. And even if we could prove it, the council's already made their decision. They want blood. And his voice broke. I publicly condemned you. If I suddenly change my mind, they'll think I'm being controlled by the bond. They'll remove me as alpha and execute you anyway. Then we're out of options. No. His hand tightened on my face. There's one option left. What? His eyes met mine, and I saw the determination there. We run. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The moon was rising when Cain came for me. I heard the commotion before I saw him, shouts of alarm, the clash of metal, wolves snarling in the corridors above. Then footsteps, running fast, and suddenly he was there, his eyes wild and gold, blood splattered across his shirt. We're leaving, he said, reaching for the cell door. Cain, you can't, they'll call it treason. I don't care. The lock shattered under his hands, silver and all. His wolf strength was terrifying. I'm not losing you. Not to her. Not to anyone. Her. I stepped out of the cell, my legs shaky. Elena? She's here. In the pack house. His voice was a growl. My wolf sensed her the moment she crossed the threshold. She's been hiding her scent, using magic to mask her presence, but now, his eyes blazed brighter. Now she wants us to know. She's ready to finish this. A scream echoed from above, cut off abruptly. We have to go, Cain said, grabbing my hand. Now. But I didn't move. Couldn't move. Because through the bond, I felt something shifting. Something waking up inside me that had been dormant my whole life. The full moon's power, calling to something in my blood. Sarah? Cain's voice was urgent. What's wrong? I don't know. I looked down at my hands, watching them shimmer with silver light. Something's happening. We don't have time. She's moon-blessed. The voice came from the shadows, and Riley emerged, her face pale but determined. I found it in the old records. Sarah's bloodline, the Blackwoods, they were moon-blessed wolves. Rare. Powerful. Able to counter dark magic. That's impossible, I breathed. I would have known. Your brother knew. Riley held out a leather journal, Dominic's journal, the one I thought had been lost when Nightshade fell. He wrote about it. About how your mother had the gift, and how it passed to you. But she never told you because moon-blessed wolves are hunted by dark practitioners. Their blood is the only thing that can break dark spells. Which is why Elena destroyed your pack. Cain's hand tightened on mine. She wasn't just eliminating witnesses. She was trying to kill you before you could awaken. But I didn't awaken. Not until, I looked at Cain, understanding dawning. Until the mate bond. Until you. The bond with an alpha amplifies the blessing. Riley's voice shook. That's what the records say. A moon-blessed wolf bonded to an alpha becomes powerful enough to destroy even the darkest magic. Which is exactly what Elena can't allow. A new voice, smooth and familiar, echoed through the corridor. Marcus stepped into view, but his eyes were wrong, clouded, distant. Controlled. Marcus? Cain moved between us. Fight it. Whatever she's done to you, fight it. I can't. Marcus's voice was strained, his body moving against his will. She's in my head, Alpha. Has been for months. I didn't even realize. He pulled a silver dagger from his belt. I'm sorry. She's making me. He lunged. Cain caught his wrist, twisting the blade away, but Marcus was strong. They went down in a tangle of limbs, and I saw the moment Marcus's control slipped back, his eyes clearing, horror washing over his face. Alpha, you have to kill me, he gasped. Before she makes me hurt you. I'm not killing you. She's too strong. I can't, Marcus's face contorted as he fought whatever held him. She's coming. She's almost here. And she's brought. The explosion rocked the entire building. Dust and debris rained down as the corridor's ceiling cracked. Through the hole above, I saw the night sky, and silhouetted against the full moon, a figure that made my blood run cold. Elena Ashford stood on what remained of the upper floor, her dark hair whipping in a wind that shouldn't exist. She looked exactly like her photographs, beautiful, regal, perfect. Except for her eyes. Those burned with an unnatural purple light, corrupted by whatever magic she'd been feeding on for 3 years. "Hello, darling," she said, her voice carrying easily over the chaos. "Did you miss me?" Kane stared up at her, and I felt every emotion crash through him at once: shock, betrayal, rage, grief. "You're dead," he said. "I mourned you. I nearly died for you." "I know." Elena's smile was cruel. That was rather the point. She dropped through the hole, landing with inhuman grace. Up close, I could see the wrongness more clearly. Her skin had a grayish tint, her movements too fluid, like she wasn't quite human anymore. 3 years, she continued, circling us like a predator. 3 years of careful planning. Poisoning your wine that night to suppress your wolf. Staging my death. Framing that pathetic Blackwood boy. Her eyes flicked to me. And then waiting. Waiting for you to break completely. Waiting for your grief to hollow you out so perfectly that when I returned to claim what's mine, you'd be too weak to resist. "What's yours?" Kane's voice was deadly quiet. What could possibly be worth this? "Power." The word hissed from her lips. "True power. The kind that comes from breaking an alpha's mate bond through betrayal and death. The kind that makes you immortal. Godlike." She spread her arms, and shadows writhed around her. "I've been studying the old magic for years. Found a way to harness it. All I needed was the right sacrifice, my own bond with you, shattered at the perfect moment. You never loved me. It wasn't a question." "Love?" Elena laughed. "Love is a weakness. A leash. I chose you because you were strong, because your alpha power was exactly what I needed. And you played your part beautifully, the devoted mate, so broken by my death that you wanted to die too." Her expression turned vicious. But then she showed up. Her gaze locked on me. The little moon-blessed bitch who ruined everything. Elena's power lashed out, a tendril of darkness that would have taken my head off if Kane hadn't pulled me aside. "You were supposed to die with your pack. But somehow you survived. And then you had the audacity to bond with my alpha." "He's not yours," I said, letting my own power rise to meet hers. Silver light blazed from my skin, pushing back the darkness. "He never was." "Then I'll just have to kill you both." Elena's form shifted, her body elongating, twisting into something between woman and monster. The ritual works just as well with a broken bond if both parties are dead. And lucky for me, tonight's the full moon. Perfect timing. She attacked. What happened next was chaos. Elena's dark magic tore through the corridor, and we scattered. Kane shifted, his massive black wolf meeting her head-on. Riley screamed for help, and suddenly the pack house erupted with warriors, some fighting for Elena, their minds corrupted like Marcus's had been, others trying to defend their alpha. Civil war in the span of seconds. I shifted too, my brown wolf smaller than Kane's but faster, and felt the moon's power singing in my veins. Every instinct I'd ever suppressed came roaring to life, the ability to sense dark magic, to counter it, to burn it away with pure lunar light. I was moon-blessed. And tonight, under the full moon, I was unstoppable. Elena's corrupted wolves came at me, and I tore through them with a savagery that would have terrified me days ago. But this wasn't me being cruel. This was me protecting my mate, my pack, my future. Across the battlefield, Kane fought like a demon. His wolf had always been powerful, but now, united completely with his human side, purged of the poison that had suppressed him, he was magnificent. Unstoppable. An alpha in his prime. But Elena was stronger than both of us combined. Her dark magic lashed out, catching Kane across the ribs. He went down with a yelp, and my heart stopped. No. I threw myself between them, silver light exploding from my body. Elena's next attack hit my shield and screamed, the dark magic burning away where it touched my power. Impossible, Elena snarled. You're not strong enough. Maybe not alone. I felt Kain at my back, his presence steady and sure. But together? We're exactly what we need to be. The mate bond flared between us, and I understood. Our powers weren't meant to work separately. They were meant to combine, his alpha strength, my moon-blessed light. Two halves of a whole, perfectly balanced. We attacked together. Kain's wolf tore at Elena's physical form while I channeled every ounce of lunar power I had into burning away her magic. She fought back viciously, but for every spell she cast, I had a counter. For every dark tendril, a blade of silver light. We were winning. And Elena knew it. If I can't have the power, she screamed, her form destabilizing, then no one can. She pulled something from her chest, a crystal pulsing with sickly purple light. Her phylactery, I realized. The thing holding her corrupted soul. I'll destroy this whole pack house, she hissed. Kill everyone. And you'll die knowing it was your fault. Elena, don't. Marcus appeared from the smoke, his face bleeding but his eyes clear. Please. This isn't you. The magic has corrupted you. Get away from me, you weak fool. Elena raised the crystal. I used you. Just like I used everyone. I know. Marcus's voice broke. I know what you did. What you made me do. But I'm still your beta. Still bound by oath to protect the Luna. He moved faster than I thought possible. One moment he was standing beside Elena, the next he'd grabbed the crystal from her hands and crushed it against his chest. Dark magic exploded outward, and Marcus's scream was cut short as the corruption consumed him. No! Elena shrieked. But it was too late. Without the phylactery, her borrowed immortality unraveled. I watched her age in seconds. Her skin withering, her power bleeding away, her perfect form crumbling to dust. Her last word was a curse that echoed through the ruined pack house. Then she was gone. The battle ended as abruptly as it had begun. The corrupted wolves collapsed, Elena's hold on them breaking. Warriors stared around in confusion, many of them crying, horrified by what they'd been forced to do. And in the center of it all, Marcus lay dying. Kain shifted back to human form and knelt beside his beta, cradling his head. You saved us, Kain said, his voice thick with grief. You saved the pack. Had to. Marcus coughed, blood on his lips. She made me do terrible things. Had to make it right. You did. You made it right. Tell the pack. Marcus's eyes were glazing over. Tell them. I'm sorry. Tell them. He never finished the sentence. Kain held him as he died, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Around us, wolves howled, a funeral song for a beta who'd been manipulated but had found redemption in the end. I shifted back to human form and wrapped my arms around Kain, letting him grieve. The mate bond pulsed between us, carrying his pain, his guilt, his love for the friend he'd lost. It's over, I whispered. She can't hurt anyone anymore. Marcus is gone. And it's my fault. If I'd seen what she was doing sooner. You couldn't have known. I turned his face toward mine. She spent years building this trap. Used dark magic to control minds, suppress memories. You're not responsible for her evil. Maybe not. But I'm responsible for not trusting you. His hand came up to cup my face. I marked you, and then I threw you away. Nearly let you be executed for her crimes. But you didn't. You believed your wolf. You chose me. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Good. I managed a smile through my tears. Because you're stuck with me now. Full mate bond. No take-backs. He kissed me then, soft and desperate, and I felt the bond solidified between us, not just accepted, but embraced. Two broken wolves who'd found each other in the darkness and refused to let go. When we finally pulled apart, Riley was standing nearby, supporting a blood-covered warrior who looked vaguely familiar. "Alpha," she said tentatively. "There's someone here who needs to see Sarah." The warrior raised his head, and my heart stopped. "Dominic?" My brother, alive, scarred, but alive, grinned weakly. "Hey, little sister. Miss me?" 2 weeks later. The pack house had been rebuilt, the damaged sections repaired, the blood scrubbed from the floors. But some scars ran deeper than architecture. I stood in front of the gathered pack, Kane at my side, feeling the weight of their eyes on me. Some looked at me with gratitude. I'd helped destroy the monster who'd been manipulating them for years. Others still carried suspicion, unable to forget that I was Dominic's sister. But Kane's hand in mine was steady, his presence unwavering. "Sarah Blackwood has proven herself a true member of Silvercrest," he announced, his alpha voice carrying through the hall. "She fought beside me. Risked her life for this pack. And tonight, under the full moon, I claim her as my mate and your Luna." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but no one objected. Furthermore, Kane continued, "Dominic Blackwood has been cleared of all charges. The evidence against him was fabricated by Elena as part of her conspiracy. He's been offered a place in Silvercrest as a full pack member, along with all surviving members of Nightshade who wish to join us." More murmurs, but these were different, surprised, but accepting. Adrian stepped forward from the crowd. Kane's cousin had been in a coma since the battle, one of Elena's corrupted wolves who'd fought against the spell hard enough to damage his own mind. He was still weak, still recovering, but his eyes were clear. "I owe you an apology," he said, addressing me directly. "I spoke against you. Believed the lies. And I'm sorry." "You were being manipulated," I said. "We all were. That doesn't excuse it." He turned to Kane. "I challenge anyone who questions Sarah's right to be Luna. She's earned her place through blood and sacrifice." One by one, other wolves stepped forward, some I recognized from Elena's guard, others I didn't know. All pledging their loyalty, their acceptance. By the time the sun set, I was officially Luna of Silvercrest. The ceremony was beautiful. Kane marked me again, this time in front of the entire pack under the full moon. And when I marked him in return, our wolves rose together, his midnight black, mine silver-touched brown, and held their claim for all to hear. We were mated. Bonded. Unbreakable. After, there was a feast. Music. Dancing. Dominic told me stories about his time in hiding, how he'd been tracking Elena's network, gathering evidence. How he'd nearly died a dozen times before Riley's message had reached him, calling him home. She had followers everywhere, he said quietly, when we found a moment alone. Some of them didn't even know they were working for her. She was building something big, Sarah. An army of corrupted wolves. But she's gone now. Is she? Dominic's expression turned troubled. Her body's gone, sure. But dark magic like that doesn't just disappear. It leaves traces. Seeds. What are you saying? I'm saying we should be careful. Watch the borders. Make sure. A commotion at the edge of the celebration cut him off. A young warrior appeared, dragging someone, behind him. A rogue, by the smell. Female, badly wounded, her wrists bound in silver. Found her at the northern border, the warrior reported. She says she has information. About Elena. Kane materialized beside me, his alpha instincts on high alert. Bring her forward. The rogue was thrown to her knees in front of us. She looked up with defiant eyes, despite her injuries. You killed her, she spat. You killed our queen. Your queen was a murderer, I said coldly. She got what she deserved. Did she? The rogue smiled, and I saw madness in her eyes. You think she worked alone? You think she didn't have contingencies? What are you talking about? She knew you might win. Knew the moon-blessed bitch might be strong enough. The rogue's smile widened. So she made sure her work would continue. Made sure her legacy would survive. Explain, Kane growled. There are others. Dozens of us, all marked with her power. And we're coming. The rogue looked directly at me. You might have won this battle, Luna. But the war? The war is just beginning. Before anyone could stop her, she bit down on something in her mouth, a poison capsule. She convulsed once, twice, then went still. Dead. The celebration died around us, everyone staring at the corpse. Check her body, Kane ordered. And increase border patrols. If there are more of Elena's followers out there. There are. Sienna appeared from the crowd, Elena's former best friend, looking haunted. I saw them. Before Elena and I had our falling out, she introduced me to some of her associates. Said she was building something that would change the wolf world forever. How many? I asked. I don't know. Dozens? Maybe more? Sienna's voice shook. She was careful. Kept them separated, compartmentalized. But they're organized. And they're loyal to her vision even if she's gone. Kane pulled me close, and I felt his determination through the bond. Then we'll face them, he said firmly. Together. As we face everything now. I nodded, looking around at our pack, wounded but healing, broken but rebuilding. Dominic at my side, his name finally cleared. Riley standing with the other warriors, her courage proven. Adrian, working to redeem himself. And Kane, my mate, my alpha, my everything. We'd survived Elena's darkness. We'd face whatever came next. But as the celebration resumed around us, I couldn't shake the chill running down my spine. Somewhere out there, in the shadows beyond our territory, Elena's followers were watching. Planning. And written on the rogue's arm, barely visible beneath the silver burns, was a symbol I recognized from Elena's dark magic. A crescent moon bisected by a dagger. The mark of something bigger than we'd imagined. Epilogue. 3 months later. The figure watched from the treeline as the Silvercrest pack celebrated their Luna's pregnancy. Sarah Ashford, no, Sarah Blackwood Ashford now, stood beside her mate, her hand resting on her still flat stomach, radiant with joy. Kane's wolf was stronger than ever, making him the most powerful alpha in 3 generations. Together, they were nearly invincible. Nearly. The figure touched the mark on their wrist, Elena's mark, and smiled. The queen was dead, yes. But her vision lived on. Her plan was still in motion. And soon, very soon, the next phase would begin. The moon-blessed Luna thought she'd won. Thought she'd destroyed the darkness. She had no idea it was only sleeping. Waiting. Growing. The figure melted back into the shadows, leaving only a whisper on the wind. Long live the queen. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.